Yeah, there's one moment, one small change that changes everything. You don't need to sleep with her. You don't need to buy her anything. You don't even need to say something seductive. You only need to do this one thing, and after that, she won't look at you the same way again. Not with the same comfort, not with the same control. Because suddenly she feels something she's never felt with you before. Uncertainty, intrigue, respect. So what is it? Let me guide you through 5 versions of this one move, depending on who you are and what she expects from you. Because if you do it once, she won't be able to forget it. Number 1, the power of not reacting. Have you ever been in a situation when someone, maybe your partner, suddenly explodes or throws hurtful words? Sometimes it seems trivial, sometimes it can really sting. But one thing is clear. She's looking for a reaction. This isn't just emotional outburst. Psychologically, this is often called emotional baiting, an unconscious attempt to test, trigger, or sometimes even manipulate the emotional state of the other person. In relationships, this happens more often than we realize. From a neuroscience perspective, when someone attacks emotionally, it's usually triggered by the amygdala, the part of the brain responsible for fight or flight reactions. But here's the interesting part. You don't have to get caught up in that game, because when you can stay calm, you activate another part of your brain, the prefrontal cortex, the center for rational decision-making and high-level self-control. When you don't react impulsively, you show that you have strong emotional regulation. In psychology, this is a sign of emotional maturity. You don't shout back. You don't feel the need to explain yourself defensively. You just stay silent, calm, maybe give a slight smile, and choose not to get swept into the emotional storm that you didn't create. This is not weakness, it's strength. Self-control like this signals to whoever you're talking to that you're not a man easily moved by provocation. You're not an emotional puppet to be played any time. Many women, socially and evolutionarily, are used to having high emotional intelligence. They can quickly read emotions, subtly test limits, and trigger responses instinctively, not because they're cruel, but because subconsciously they want to know how stable you are. Can I feel emotionally safe with you when you stay calm? When you don't get triggered even though she tries to shake you, you're sending a very strong signal. I know who I am and I don't need validation from this fight. And that, bro, psychologically changes the dynamic of the relationship completely. She may try harder next time, more dramatic, but what happens next is fascinating. Her brain realizes you can't be manipulated. The reaction could be confusion, frustration, even anger, but deep down, something changes. That respect isn't about being stronger than her, but about being stronger than your own ego. And when you get to this point, you're no longer just an ordinary man in her eyes. You become a mystery. And a calm mystery is far more attractive than anyone who's easily triggered. Number 2, when you walk away without a word. When you choose to leave without saying a word, it's not because you're weak or defeated. It's because you realize something's wrong. You know this dynamic isn't about healthy love, but about a tiring game. She's cold, then suddenly warm, flirting with other men right in front of you, hoping you react, hoping you respond. But you don't. Most men get stuck there, sending long messages, trying to explain their feelings, begging for explanations or recognition. But you don't take that path. You say nothing. No closing statements, no threats of breakup, no last warnings. You just stay silent, and you really mean it. And that's the turning point. From a psychological standpoint, your silence is not emptiness. It's a loud statement. The human brain hates uncertainty. When there's no closure, no reason, no drama, the brain is forced to search for meaning. She starts overthinking. She wonders why you're not angry, why you don't demand an explanation, why you don't respond like other men. This is called the Zeigarnik effect in psychology, a phenomenon where the brain keeps thinking about unfinished business. And because you choose not to finish it for her, Her mind gets trapped in unanswered questions. She'll check her phone. She'll see if you're watching her story. She'll replay your chats, trying to unravel what really happened. But here's the surprise. You don't change. You just come to the conclusion that she's not worth the explanation. And that's what haunts her the most. More than any fight, more than any farewell speech. From a neuroscience perspective, your action shows extraordinary self-control. You're not controlled by the impulsive amygdala that usually makes us overreact. Instead, you activate the prefrontal cortex, the center of logic and long-term decision-making. You don't choose drama. You choose dignity, self-respect. And in that silence, you're no longer the man she thought she knew. You become a mystery. You become someone who can no longer be manipulated, someone who's truly done without having to announce it. And that's what makes her respect you silently. Number 3. Make her wait. Sometimes power lies not in what you do, but in what you delay. Next time she sends a message, don't reply immediately. Next time she asks to meet, don't rush to say yes. And when she waits for you to make the first move, take a pause. This isn't a game, it's discipline. And that's the difference. Many men don't realize this power. They grow up believing a good relationship means responding as fast as possible. Too easily accessible actually lowers your perceived value in your partner's eyes. Why? Because curiosity is the main fuel of attraction. And curiosity only arises when there's distance and a small, deliberate mystery. This isn't manipulation. It's about preserving your time integrity and showing that your life doesn't revolve around her. From a neuroscience angle, delayed gratification creates a dopamine anticipatory spike effect, meaning the brain releases dopamine not when the reward arrives, but while waiting for it. In other words, waiting creates a more intense pleasure than getting it instantly. Most women are used to being the center of attention. Socially, they often get quick responses, enthusiastic replies, and time sacrifices from men hoping for even a small chance. But when you don't rush, when you show you don't prioritize impulsively, you send an unconscious message. My time and calm are not for sale. And that creates a different kind of attraction. You're no longer the man who shows up whenever called. You become a man who has his own life. You become a man whose presence means a conscious choice, not a need. Let her feel that pause. Let her wonder why you didn't reply immediately, or if you're busy or no longer interested. Because in that space, your self-worth is formed in her eyes. You become rare. And in social psychology, scarcity always creates higher value. Not because you want to make her suffer, but because you know your time is precious, your presence is not cheap, and your calmness matters more than instant validation. And when she realizes that, she realizes one important thing. You're not a man to be taken lightly. Number 4, the power to say no without explanation. Sometimes true power isn't loud. It's not a shout or a long speech. It comes in one simple word. No. Not harsh, not angry, just firm. Maybe she asks you to cancel important plans. Maybe she wants you to lend money. Or maybe she wants you to do something against your values, sacrificing your principles or even your inner peace. And you look at her, breathe slowly, and say, no. Then stay silent. And that's where the power lies. Psychologically, humans tend to feel uncomfortable with rejection, especially when it's not accompanied by long explanations. Our social brain is used to patterns, requests, explanations, negotiations. But when that pattern breaks, when you say no without explaining, it triggers adaptation and reflection mechanisms in the other person. She might be shocked or become very attentive to you. Because now you show that you're not seeking approval, and psychologically that signals authority and identity maturity. In neuroscience, this relates to the prefrontal cortex, the center of self-control and decisions based on long-term values. When you can say no calmly, you show dominance of internal control, not reactive dominance. This is the highest form